Welcome to this first episode on the crop science series for the licensure examination for agriculturist review. Again, I am Coach Josh, and I will just give you a rundown of what will happen for the structure of this review. So again, it will be not like the other videos that I had in Sprout of Philippines na may mga questions, tapos meron lang konting discussion. But now it will be very different. So I will be discussing concepts in the crop sciences from the introduction hanggang sa uh, plant breeding, all of the things that you need to know on crop science. So as someone who took the LEA last year, sobrang diverse ng crop science. So it is not like the other sciences. Say, for example, uh, crop protection has its, divisions. We have entomology, plant pathology, and weed science, and those are really distinct. And these are some things that I didn't discuss currently with my friends from the other majors. And then I have this friend from animal science, and she says na kapag sa Ansay kasi, mas madaling reviewin because merong swine production, merong cattle, may dairy, merong poultry, ganyan. And you can clearly see the structure kung paano mo siya aaralin. So my goal here is to introduce a good way, or I think a better way, on how to really study crop science, considering na in our context kasi in UPLB, we only have fundamentals of crop science 1 and fundamentals of crop science 2. And most of the divisions there, o yung mga structures na yon, ay mas makukuha mo siya when you take higher courses. Say for example, the principles na nasa breeding, principles na nasa crop physiology, principles na nasa crop production and management, seed science and technology, post-harvest handling and processing, yung mga ganun na bagay. So, mas makikita mo yon kapag nandun ka sa higher courses. Pero yun nga, dito mas titignan natin yung mga different structures or yung kung paano mas magandang aralin yung crop science as a whole. And this is also to help people who are not from the crop sciences, who didn't major sa crop science natin. Ayun. So, let us start this first episode on crop identification and classification. So, this is just like an introduction kung paano natin kina-classify or ina-identify yung ating mga crops. So, let us start with the question, how do you identify crops? So the identification is made if the morphological characteristics of the unknown plant falls within the range of the diagnosis of a known one. So in simple terms, kapag yung meron silang same or shared na characteristics, doon siya nagfo-fall under. Let's say for example, yung ating mga cucurbits, 'di ba? So ano bang karaniwang common sa kanila? Maraming laman like squash, cucumber, watermelon, 'di ba? So parang silang siksik, tas most of them are bulky talaga. Another one is the solanaceous crops. So when we classify solanaceous crops, ayan, pwede mo makita na itong mga solanaceous crops ay meron silang shiny na skin like bell pepper, tomato, eggplant, 'di ba? So, doon mo sila pwedeng mai-classify. So, ito yung mga ilan sa mga ginagamit natin. Una, through its gross morphology. Pag sinabing gross morphology, huwag kayong kabahan sa term na yan, kung paano mo lang siya nakikita. Let's say, for example, yung kamatis. Yung kamatis, kapag nakita mo siya, kulay red, tapos yung size niya, may maliliit, may medium, 'di ba? So parang ayun lang 'yon. Kung paano mo siya nakikita as a whole. Next, it is associated with its common name or scientific name. Later, we will be discussing further on those two concepts. And the use of dichotomous keys. Mamaya may papakita rin ako na way using dichotomous keys kung paano natin mas may classify yung mga iba't iba nating halaman. So ayan, let's start with the common name and the scientific name. So common name kung paano siya mas kilala ng mas nakararaming tao, and yung scientific name, ito na yung merong genus, tas merong species. So ito yung scientific name. So ito, take note of this, itong ICN, yung ICNCP, ayan. So yung ICNCP, yung International Code of Nomenclature for Cultivated Plants, sila yung nag-a-assign ng rules for the different plants. So I saw some questions about this. Hindi naman lumabas ng boards last year, pero syempre, di ba, we need to study for the boards no matter what. Ito pala, ang na-realize ko sa board exam is that hindi talaga siya, and this is a principle that I have uh, even nung ako yung mismo nagre-review for the board exam, na hindi siya palaliman talaga ng alam, but it is palawakan. So, palawakan siya ng alam. So, kailangan, kunwari, sa crop science, dapat alam mo yung iba't ibang klaseng topics or ano yung structure neto. So I encourage you as well to have your own structure, or what do you call this, concept map, kung paano nyo i-classify yung mga different topics. But I will be providing some, and I think I will link it sa ating description box and sa comment section. So, yeah. So itong IC and CP, sila yung nag-a-assign ng rules. So let's say for example, in the case of mung bean o yung ating Vigna radiata, yung kanyang order ay Fabales, tapos ang kanyang family ay Fabaceae, tapos Vigna ay yung kanyang genus, and radiata yung specific epithet. So in crop science, wala namang masyadong questions when it comes to scientific names. Mas maraming ganun last year sa animal science. Like, sobrang daming scientific names sa animal science. Hindi naman sobrang dami, mga 3 or 4 yata yon. Pero, just to be safe, you can memorize some scientific names na common sa ating bansa. So let's say for example, yung mga ginagamit natin sa ating mga dishes, like sibuyas, allium cepa, yung mga ganon. Tomato, Solanum lycopersicum, ano pa ba? Eggplant, Solanum melongena, okra, Abelmoschus esculentus, yung mga ganon. So, search for those, tapos ilista nyo lang sila for your own study na. Ayun. So, ayan. So, bakit tayo gumagamit ng scientific name? Ayun, kasi it is constant throughout the world. Kanina, sabi natin merong common name, tas meron ding scientific name, di ba? So, kapag common name kasi, kung paano siya alam or paano siya kilala sa inyong lugar, kumbaga. So, let's say for example, my thesis crop, which is tapilan, is known, ako, kilala ko siya na tapilan, di ba? Then, nung pumunta ako ng Baguio, hindi nila kilala yung tapilan kasi doon ako bibili ng seeds ko. So, pagkarating ko doon, parang ang hirap ko pang in-explain. Ang lagi kong sinasabing description niya is para siyang munggo, pero hindi siya munggo. Tapos ayun, ito pala yun. Tapos meron silang ipapakita sa akin. Then, ayun nga yun. So, that is the reason why it is important for us to have the scientific names because it is constant throughout the world. Let's say for example, kapag nakakita ka ng mga journals when you're studying, so makita mo doon, Vigna umbellata. So that's the scientific name for tapilan, umbellata. So kaya ko na sinasabi na mukha niya ang munggo kasi 'di ba ang mung bean natin ay Vigna radiata. So they are in the same genus. Ayan. So Vigna radiata is for munggo and Vigna umbellata is for tapilan. So meron pa mga ibang Vigna. Let's say for example, string beans, yung Vigna sesquipedalis, Vigna unguiculata x sesquipedalis pala. Ayun. So, ibig sabihin lang nun, magkapareha sila ng genus. Ayan. So, another reason is that it will be easier to be referenced and to also communicate. Ayun, nabanggit ko kanina yung different journals, 'di ba? So kapag sumusulat tayo ng information, meron tayong nalalaman ng mga bagong kaalaman when it comes to that specific crop. Let's say for example, another phytochemicals na meron siya or ano yung behavior niya sa ganitong condition ng land. So it will be easier for us to use the scientific name para malaman din ng mga ibang bansa kung, okay, so this is the scientific name. So, let's find that crop here in our country and then let's experiment on it, yung mga ganun na bagay. So, yun. Next is to provide key to all published information about the plant. So, ayun na nga yung sinasabi ko. So, ayan. So, ito yung karaniwang structure, which is the genus, the specific epithet, yung species natin, and then most of the time, meron yung mga letters dyan, which are yung mga author ng specific na yun. Say for example, itong L, ayan. So ayun yung abbreviation ng author ng Cocos nocifera. So yeah, so that is on identification. Now, let us look naman sa classification. So classification shows the relationships among different species. So we can know the characteristics of a group so that it tells us the characteristics of the species within that group. So it provides us with an organized way of studying those plants. So dito, pag-aralan natin kung ano yung mga different classification. So here, we have this taxonomic presentation ng tomato. So ayan, nakita natin yung kanilang kingdom, subkingdom, superdivision, division, class, subclass, order, family, genus, and species. Ayan. So yung garden tomato natin is Solanum lycopersicum L. Ayan. So it is from this website. So ayan lang yung isang example. So let's dig deeper on some of the basis of classification. So this is actually three. So we have the general classification or the botanical classification. So ayun, so meron tayong general classification. We also have based on purpose, and the other one are some special classifications or special groups that these crops are classified under. So first, we will look at the general classification or the botanical classification according to the mode of reproduction. So that is sexual or asexual. When we go to the topic of nursery management, I will discuss further some of the examples of sexual propagation and asexual propagation. But for this episode, so sexual, kapag meron lang siyang mga boto. So kapag it is propagated or reproduced using seeds. So example nito, munggo. Yun. Munggo, karaniwan ng mga gulay natin. So yung mga yan, most of them are commonly reproduced using seeds. So that is sexual propagation. Another is asexual propagation. Ayan. So gumagamit sila ng ilang techniques katulad ng marketing, stem cutting, leaf cutting, root cutting, yung mga yan, which we will also discuss further when we go to nursery management and propagation. So ayun, ang naka-illustrate dito, ito ay flowers ng tomato. Ayan. Tapos ito nasa baba niya, it's marketing or yung isa pang tawag doon ay air layering. So more of that when we go to crop production, crop propagation and management. Next is according to life cycle. So crops can be annuals, biennials, or perennials. Ngayon, what are the difference between these three? So ayun, annual ay they can grow a lot of times within a year. So ang karaniwang example nito ay rice o kaya naman mung bean, yung mga yan. Ang ibig sabihin sa isang taon, pwede silang mabuhay ng maraming beses. Ganon. So within a year. So kapag biennial naman, ang keyword lang doon is merong resting period or yung dormancy period natin. So ibig sabihin, ang mangyayari sa kanya from seed papunta sa vegetative, tas merong ilang months na rest, and then after that, magpapatuloy yung kanilang reproduction, yung kanilang growth. So magpapatuloy siya na kunyari nag-stop siya sa vegetative, then may dormancy period, tas magpapatuloy siya until mag-reproductive stage na naman siya, then magkakaroon ulit ng seeds, ganyan, tapos ayun. So, kapag naman perennial, they can live from year to year. Ibig sabihin, ah para mga trees natin, ganyan. Ang karaniwan kong sinasabing technique for items like this, most especially when classification is involved, is to know examples ng mga iyon. So let's say for example, kapag annual, okay, ang alam ko example nito ay rice, ang alam ko example nito mung bean, ganyan. So kapag kasi alam mo na yung examples mo, then you can just describe that, then it can point you to the correct answer. Parang ganon. So kapag biennial naman, ang karaniwang mga examples nito ay onion, cabbage, what else? Basta celery, yung mga karaniwang ginagamit sa upland or yung mga malalamig na lugar, ayun, most of them, not all, ay biennial. So kapag perennial naman, ayun, kung ano yung kayang mabuhay ng year to year. Kunwari, year 1, year 2, nandyan pa rin siya. Year 3, nandyan pa rin siya. So ang karaniwang example ng trees. Ayun. So that's one of the strategies na sinasabi ko sa mga tinuturuan ko. So yeah, ngayon naman, basis of classification according to growth habit. So meron tayong herbs, vines, shrubs, trees, and liana or yung woody vine natin. So dito na papasok yung sinasabi ko kanina na dichotomous keys. So ito yung pwede nyong gawing guide para maklasify yung mga halaman. So let's say for example, meron tayong santan. Nakakita na ba kayo ng santan? So yung santan, itry natin using this dichotomous keys. Is the stem self-supporting? Yes or no? Kapag self-supporting, ang ibig sabihin lang nun is kaya niyang tumayo mag-isa. So yung santan naman, kaya naman niya tumayo mag-isa. So yes, pupunta tayo sa taas. Ngayon, is the stem woody? Or parang, ano ba, meron ba siyang bark? Parang ganon? Or medyo rough ba? Or the other way kasi, or the other term for this is yung succulent. Kapag succulent, ay kapag kunwari pinrest mo, may water agad na lalabas. Ganyan. So is the stem woody? Yes or no? Yung santan, in that case, yes naman. Woody siya kasi di ba para siyang kahoy. Kapag titingnan mo yung kanyang stems, ayun. So yes, so aakyat ka na naman sa taas. Ngayon, sasagutin mo naman, does it have a trunk? Meron ba siyang trunk? Ano yung trunk? Karaniwan yung feature ng ating mga puno. So, dahil no, it means yung santan, it falls under shrub. Ayun. So, let's say, another example naman, herb. So, basil. Ayan, basil. Is the stem self-supporting? Kaya bang tumayong mag-isa ng basil? Yes. Is the stem woody? Ma-wood ba siya? Siyempre hindi. So, no siya. Kaya magfo-fall siya under herb. Ayun. So, kapag yung sa ano naman, sa vine naman, ano ba? Ampalaya. Is the stem self-supporting? No na agad. So, vine na siya. Ganon. Okay? So, ngayon, tignan nga natin. I will give you this 1, 2, 3. Actually, anime to. And i-classify nyo sila kung alin siya doon sa apat na yon. Kung is siya ba ay shrub, siya ba ay herb, siya ba ay tree, or siya ba ay vine. Ayan. So, look at these three and then I will give you time to answer. So, next naman, ito naman, 4, 5, 6 naman. So, again, do the same yung kanina. I'll give you like 30 seconds to answer as well. So yon, I hope that you were able to answer that, and I will just place the answers dun sa ating description box for you to check kung tama yung mga sagot mo. Okay, so kanina yung ating tinignan ay classification or based on the on general classification or yung ating botanical classification. Ngayon naman, punta naman tayo sa different classifications based on purpose. So ito, dito papasok yung cereals, legumes, root crops, fiber crops, oil crops, sugar crops, pasture or forage crops, grasses, legumes, beverage crops, spices, condiments, and essences, latex and resins, medicinal and poison crops. So meron ding vegetables, meron ding fruits, meron ding ornamentals. Ayan. So for these different classifications, I will compile some list ng mga halaman na nandito sa Philippines, and I will just place a link to that PDF sa ating description box. So now, let's move to the special groups. So una, we have the green manure or high-end nitrogen. So most of the crops that fall under this classification are leguminous crops. So let's say for example, ipil-ipil, kakawate, those are some of the crops na ginagamit as green manure. Pwede silang ihalo sa lupa, tas magde-decompose sila doon. Then, ayun, they can give nitrogen doon sa ating crops. So kapag green manure, high in nitrogen. So one of their features is the presence of the bacteria, which is rhizobium. They are nitrogen fixing bacteria, which means that they can fix nitrogen from the atmosphere. So ayan, number two is cover is cover crop. So itong cover crop naman, they are planted to cover the soil rather than the purpose of being harvested. So if you ever see a garden na parang meron silang mga four-leaf clover, yung mga parang may clover-clover ganyan. So those are some examples of cover crops. Ayun. So ibig sabihin, mas pinoprotektahan lang nila yung soil para hindi evaporate agad yung water, ganyan. Or minsan, they are for aesthetic purposes. Pero in the production perspective, we are using cover crops let to not let the soil dry quickly, lalo na kapag nagdidilig tayo. So, ayun yung purpose ng cover crop. Next is companion crop. So kapag companion crop naman, they are sown with another crop to gain some advantage in yield or crop protection from pests. Ayan, so you can visit our um, contents on companion cropping. So we have different articles when it comes to companion cropping and what are the reasons for companion cropping. So I will just link all of those in our description box or the comment section. So another one is trap crops. So this is a picture from this website. Ang trap crops kasi, they are sacrificial plant that draws away damaging insects from the desirable crop. So let us say, for example, so these are the crops that you want for production. So one of the things that you can do is to surround it with other crops na pwedeng doon pumunta yung ating mga peste. Ayun, at hindi sila pupunta doon sa gusto nating halaman. So in this case, ito, yung sunflower, it can attract some bugs. Ayan, mga stink bugs. Pwede silang pumunta sa sunflower imbes na dumiretso na sila doon sa iyong gustong crop. Another example of this is this layout. So dito, meron tayong tinatawag na trap crop, which is in this case, yung ating squash. Then meron tayong main crop, let's say for example, watermelon or cucumber. So the reason, ang karaniwan kong question dito sa aking mga estudyante ay ano kaya yung reason kung bakit ang nasa loob ay yung watermelon or yung cucumber. So the answer there is this can also be a strategic approach kung ano yung mas merong mataas na value during this season. So let's say for example, mas season kasi ng watermelon and people are paying a lot more when it comes to just buying watermelon or yung cucumber natin. So you can designate them as your main crop. Ayan. Tas ang isa-sacrifice mo ay yung squash. Ayun. So, ito ay nasa production and management naman na. So, this is just knowing kung, okay, ano yung mas magandang i-sacrifice ngayon na siguro walang value, then ano yung mas magandang pag-focusan na crop for production. So, those are the things that you need to consider when you are also growing crops. So, another example for this one is okra. So, ito naman, it is highly attractive to stink bugs and leaf-footed bugs. Another one is catch crop. So kapag sinabing catch crop naman, this is just a fast-growing crop that is grown between successive plantings of a main crop. So for example, radishes can mature from seed in 25 to 30 days and can be grown between rows of most vegetables and harvested long before the main crop matures. So this is just to make sure na in whatever times meron kayong maha-harvest na crop from your garden. But in this case, I want to also emphasize that radish, when we go to crop physiology, is a long day plant. So perhaps this time frame that was given here ay para sa long days natin. So hindi siya para sa mga short days sa Philippines. Let's say for example, September to December, ganyan. Hindi kasi mas mahaba kasi ang night nun, 'di ba? So siguro ito ay itong time frame na to is for March ganyan or April na mas mahaba yung araw. Ayun. So more of that when we go to crop physiology. So ayan, meron din tayong soilage and silage. The only difference between these two is that yung soilage natin, they are fresh. Kapag naman yung silage, they are fermented. Yan lang yun. Yeah, so I think that's the end of this first episode on this review for crop science. In the next video, I will be talking about plant morphology and ayun, dun tayo papasok yung sa stems, ano yung mga forms nila, leaves, fruits, etc. and other classifications. So stay tuned and see you in the next episode.